Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, football heads. Your commissioner, Tim Dowling, in the house. It's been a little irregular lately. I don't know if that's the right term, but Alex has rejoined us.
I have, yes. Erratic, irregular. I'm not sure quite the adjective to describe our
Makes me
cadence.
think of bowel movements when I say irregular.
So,
what I mean to say is we haven't been very consistent with our recordings.
A lot like most of the lineups in the league.
Yeah. Have you noticed that? I haven't been paying attention.
Yeah, 1 week a team goes off for 120. The next week they shit the bed. Irregular bowel movements.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought you meant like the lineup setting, like people leaving people in.
Oh, no.
Not the case in this league.
This league knows better.
Yeah, we're all over that. So yeah, it's almost New Year's. It's going to be the last episode of the year. So big recap. I mean, we'll leave you, I guess, with a cliffhanger because our champion hasn't been decided yet. So
right,
you have to follow us on social to figure that out, I guess. We'll have to do a post from it's either going to be Lou or Bobby. That's who survived. So
could maybe do a live stream. We could do a little live stream recap maybe on the Instagram page. That'd be fun.
Yeah. Well, I know if Bobby wins, we'll see that. Lou's been such a shadow in the league, but a very competent and successful shadow, and has navigated his way to his second appearance in the finals. However, he's never won. And neither has Bobby.
Yeah. This is two. It's a great matchup in that regards, right? Two guys who have never won it before with very little experience in the championship game. And not that means a whole lot, especially compared to like real NFL football, but to win 3 playoff games, which these two managers will have to have done.
5th and 7th seed.
Yeah. So it's pretty exciting.
So yeah, that's the big news. I guess the 1 and 2 seeds, myself and Andrew, Andy, our number 1 team all year long.
Yeah.
Did not even make the finals. And that just goes to show, like,
odds on favorite not to, right? We've almost never had that happen before.
Never. What up, Derek? I say you said what up in the chat. Derek's probably riding high as well because both our 11th and 12th seeded teams didn't make the skunk final either. So on either ends of the spectrum, the top seeds and the low seeds have escaped what, may have been their destiny, but obviously was not. So congrats, Derek, on not being in last place and not even having to play in that game and even worrying about that at all.
Fantastic job. Fantastic job. We'd love to see it.
Yeah, from the voice from above, I'd be interested, and maybe this is a conversation that the two of you, Derek and Max, that you guys have to have, but now that you've escaped the skunk, are we calling this a successful season with the co-managing? Are we going to return to this next year?
Listen, we're looking at the data. We're gonna sit down. We're gonna have an end of season meeting. We're looking at the data. We're gonna check it out, figure it out. Looking at all options.
Oh, okay. Doesn't sound like a boat of confidence from the front office there.
Yeah, well, it wasn't a very successful season. Even if you did avoid the skunk, it had its ups and downs, a little disjointed, a little rocky. But ultimately, you escaped. Would be
the 3-time.
It would be a humiliating third skunk.
Yeah, and 2 in a row. That would have been bad.
Would have been bad. So it's almost like you won it all. But then that leaves Matt and Blaine in the skunk final, and we haven't even gotten to Chun's great escape. And he was 2-12 this year, and he'll be joining us later. So we'll hear all about his fucking mindset because that was a crazy game.
I think of the 4 teams that have something to play for this upcoming weekend, I'd say that we're probably the most surprised by Blaine being in the skunk game Not so much because we already talked about the history and kind of the pedigree of Bobby and Lou as fantasy managers. So to see them finally end up in a championship matchup makes some sense. Matt,
They're due.
Yeah, they are due. Exactly. Matt is a former champ himself, but he's also a former skunk himself. So we know how volatile his seasons can go. Blaine's the one where we feel for our guy.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, Blaine's never been in this position before. I don't think he's ever been in the Skunk Bowl.
Very rarely has he been in the
right now,
very rarely has he been in the losers bracket, consolation bracket.
Yeah, exactly. So things just fell off wheels with him this year. Just didn't hit the free agents, and then Matt's team. I didn't really expect Matt's team to be in this position either, even though it's kind of like a losing record team. I thought it had enough juice, but it's just disappeared at times this year, and he really does not want to be skunk. I know that motivates him more than anything, and maybe that's part of the law of attraction where he's just been thinking all year, not about winning, but just about not being the skunk. And now he's attracted that possibility into his life. That's me getting a little hippy dippy on you, but these things kind of matter when you're gambling.
Listen, this is the culture that you've created as a commissioner. You don't have to be faster than the bear. You just have to be faster than the guy behind you.
Yeah. And the jaws are snapping at your heels, boys, every year. But we are at the end of it. We're finally at the end of it here with 1 week, 1 game left to go. I don't do those 2-round BS. Nope. I am happy to say that I am in 2 other championships on ESPN. One would be your league, the League of Thrones, 10-person league, and then another 12-person PPR league. So overall, I mean, fantasy was pretty good to me this year.
I'd have to agree. I was in the 3 leagues that I was in. I made the playoffs in all 3 of them. And so I feel great about that. I view that as a success. And also kind of a year where I sort of I didn't listen to any podcasts. Obviously, I love engaging with this one, but didn't really participate too much in the extracurriculars that go into managing a fantasy team in 2023. Played the waivers a little bit, but at the same time, just took it easy, didn't let it consume my free time. And I feel like it was validating because through injuries and through sort of just the regression of attention that I paid to it, I still feel like, this is a thing that I kind of have my head wrapped around. I want to keep returning to this. I'm not getting burnt out, I guess is what I'm trying to say, because in a year where I was like, I'm going to take a little bit of a backseat to this season as a manager, really tried to focus on my dynasty team a lot. That was a sleeper league team and made it to the semifinals in that. So yeah, it was a great fantasy year, I think, with a lot of ups and downs for different players. And kind of a wonky year in the NFL just in general. I mean, and we can get to that. I'd love to actually get to that if Morgan pops on, but sort of just the different teams subverting expectations. And then other teams, we're kind of seeing the Chiefs fall off a little bit. Patrick Mahomes was not who we thought he was going to be, a top 3 quarterback this year. So yeah, a lot of different things that I think fantasy managers had to juggle as the real season played out.
Yeah, I feel like that's a common trope, though, that we hear almost every year, because every year is like unique and different, and there's always something unexpected, and that's part of like what keeps it novel and fun. But yeah, definitely, I think some of the teams that we expected to be great, you mentioned like the Chiefs or whatever, there's just been a lack of consistency. Even the Eagles as of late, losing some games, or even that's what's so great about the NFL, right? Any given Sunday, 49ers look undefeated, and then all of a sudden they get their ass kicked, and Brock Purdy was this like perfect quarterback, and then he throws 4 interceptions on Monday night or whatever. So there's always some kink in the wheel,
Or like the Raiders, they fire their coach midway through the season, and then if you would have streamed their and if you would have streamed their defense the last 2 weeks, you're probably in the championship.
Yeah. Another thing you were saying is like you feel like you kind of maybe took the foot off the gas, maybe as far as your managing your fantasy team this year. Just kind of like,
I would just say the time conservative time that I set aside to, like when it comes to listening to podcasts and reading the ESPN injury reports and, what's this person's weekly outlook? Like, I'm sorry, Mike Clay. I just kind of I'm over that stuff.
I think I like that you said that. I don't know if I think early on in the season, I do read into that stuff. And I think I did it too much this year. I don't think I still would have made like the finals, even if I didn't trade DK Metcalf and held on to Dak Prescott or whatever, or like didn't, hot drop the Zach Moss. Like I definitely was screwy as managers this year, but even if I didn't do all those and I did everything right, I was still going to lose to Breece Hall in the semifinals. So I at least feel like at peace with that. But I probably did a little too much of what you're kind of talking about and like reading into the reports and overthinking, just a lot of overthinking.
Yeah.
Which it's a trap. You definitely get lost in the sauce.
So with that, I don't know if we're going to get Morgan or not. Something that I kind of wanted to talk about, and maybe just we can do this to eat up some airspace here before he jumps on. But the finalist, like 10 minutes ago, maybe 30 minutes ago now, the finalists for the 2024 Hall of Fame were announced. And now maybe this is kind of just going to be fun, Bobby, I think, to talk about. What's up, Bobby? Good luck, Bobby. A little bit of me is like, I must be getting old if these are the guys that are being inducted into the Hall of Fame, or at least the finalists. But just some of the names on here: Reggie Wayne, Torrey Holt, Andre Johnson, Devin Hester, Jared Allen, Darren Woodson, Antonio Gates, Julius Peppers, Dwight Freeney, Patrick Willis. I mean, some of these guys were on Andre Johnson. He was rostered on a fantasy team of mine, many years ago. So it's like
Antonio Gates is a fantasy god.
Absolutely.
Tight end.
So it's really, I don't know.
How long do these guys have to be retired?
I think it's 4 years, 4 or 5 years.
Wow. Yeah, we are old.
So
Antonio Gates was like such a huge part of the football upbringing for us.
Totally. Rivers to Gates.
On that list, I feel like is Devin Hester, because I feel like Devin Hester.
Listen, Devin Hester, make him a first ballot. Make him a first ballot.
Rookie season that we all remember we were like in high school for. Returns the opening kickoff of the Super Bowl to the fucking. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Epic.
Wow.
So just kind of something fun, just some food for thought.
Julius Peppers,
gotta appreciate the moment. I don't really know. What's
Chun got to say?
I know
he's all over this draft class.
We need exactly. That's what I'm saying. We need sack numbers. We need all-time totals. And Max, I don't want to put that on you right now on the moment. That's what Morgan's brain is for him just to tell us these things. So,
why don't we we have stuff to revisit with Morgan if he ever hops on. But Max, do you want to bring up the Hall of Records? And we can revisit the end of year awards that we were gonna present last week, but due to some technical difficulties, we suspended the episode. So you just had to wait a week.
Yeah.
Go ahead and scroll over to like columns Y through AC. See this spreadsheet here? There it is. So the first one was injury bugged, and I have to review back to the text. I think we gave it to. Did we give it to you?
Yeah, that was our initial thought.
Initial thought was maybe Scrap is injury bug. Do you want to talk about some of the injuries to your squad this year?
Well, it would be interesting. I don't have the numbers pulled up here on desktop. I'm sure I was not the team that moved the most people into IR, because for the Scrappas this year, when guys got hurt, they got hurt to the point where I just needed to drop them. Yeah, exactly. So, that's Nick Chubb.
Nick Chubb.
Yeah, after week 1. So that was brutal. That's my first round draft pick right there. And then Dallas Goedert, of course, he's come back. He hasn't done anything that would have helped me in the playoffs. And so when he broke his forearm, I believe it was, he was just dropped. Michael Thomas went on IR. He maybe went into the slot for like a week, but then I had to drop him to clear out some space because I did have solid contributors to my team week after week that just kept getting hurt, but not to the point where they could be dropped, like Alexander Mattinson and Brian Robinson Jr. And so guys like that were the ones that were consistently in and out of my lineups week after week. And yet, despite not having my first round running back and basically relying on Travis Etienne to carry the load from that position, we still made it work. Josh Allen obviously helps a lot, but it was tough. It was tricky there with the injuries.
I feel like other nominations for this award would be like Keffler, maybe. Didn't he have Aaron Rodgers? Injury bug. I know you're going to say it yourself. I'm going to say myself as well.
Yeah, Joe Burrow.
Especially this week. Sean, welcome to the show. Way to show
Jonathan
up.
Taylor. Sorry I'm late.
It's all good. JT's a tough one, right? Because there was a ton. That was a risky, you were not being risk adverse. Yeah.
I was talking about his injury that he just came back from after 4 weeks missing.
Another one, yeah.
That's tough. But just rostering him in the first place was a roll of the
nobody
dice.
knew what was going to happen. It was kind of like Le'Veon Bell years ago.
Yep.
There's another guy too that it was a holdout. Saquon, I think, held out for 2 games last year.
Yeah.
I think I'm a legit nominee because I had Mark Andrews.
Guys.
Saquon.
I honestly think if I had Justin Jefferson all year long, I think the team is different. That was the first overall pick.
Yeah.
And he was gone forever. And every time he did play, I think he had 1 single-digit game. That's
a good point.
Okay, so that's a great
number 1 overall pick. And he was
But what is this It's not your team.
Okay, Derek and I would have had a much different team if JJ was around.
Who else is helping your claim? A chain?
A chain, unfortunately, we drafted a chain, then we dropped him, and then we brought him back.
Kirk Cousins, right? Your quarterback?
Kirk Cousins got hurt, who we drafted. Now we found Dak Prescott, which was a great replacement. But, you want to look at injuries, look no further than the Crystal Lake Crushers.
That's a good one. But...
But what, John?
I feel like probably every manager could make a case for their own team on this one, right?
I think
but Justin Jefferson,
their team had a pretty easy schedule. My team was 2-12, and I brought this up 2 weeks ago.
John,
I would be 7-8 with their schedule.
That doesn't count. We're gonna stick with Scrappers is what we said in the chat. We're gonna give him an injury bug here. Mark, I don't know if this will update live, but I'm updating it live. Oh yeah, I'm in here. You should show up.
This I think is the strongest case for me. I made the playoffs despite not having Nick Chubb. If I had Nick Chubb, we could be looking at like a double-digit win season, I think. So it hurts.
All right, let's move along to the best draft. Now, I think Bobby had a really good draft, taking Christian McCaffrey at 4. And Christian McCaffrey, as we'll see here soon, he outscored. He's the number 1 player. He's on pace with Josh Allen at the quarterback position, and everyone else below them is like 100 points less. So Christian McCaffrey at the 4 spot is a really good draft pick. And Bobby also didn't make a lot of transactions. He just stuck with the team he drafted more so than any other team in the league. He has the least amount of transactions in the year.
Yeah, that's a great indicator.
And he's in the final. So I know that I think on the text, we wanted to give it to Andy because Andy's definitely another nominee with the 11-3 record. But he drafted like Eckler, Cooper Kupp in like the first 2 rounds.
He made a lot of transactions.
Aaron Jones as well. So I think those are 3 draft picks. His top 3 draft picks flopped. And then he got lucky with Kieran Williams and Mostert.
Yeah.
And that kind of performance is more indicative of something like manager of the year as compared to best draft.
I want to give best draft to Bobby.
Second.
There you go.
Third. Yep. Motion passes.
Waiver wire. I think
Who
we
had
originally.
the most transactions?
It's
Gotta be
always
Camille.
Camille.
Yeah.
It's always Camille. Always has the most transactions. But did that translate? You didn't make the playoffs. I think
He did.
Made a
He
good
did.
comeback.
He did turn his season around, right? I mean, we were talking about that all season, where he
Yeah.
was 1-5,
That's
1-6.
And it says a lot for him to be making these transactions when he blew his full load on Jerome Ford.
yeah. Working the
yeah,
wire.
he's not in the skunk game. Let me take a
Nope.
look at Camille's. Do we have any other nominations?
I mean, this is typically where we would see like a Blaine or a Matt or a Jordan, but I just think
Laporta.
Laporta's great. There's definitely a few standouts on their teams, but I don't think there's enough there, and especially too just the average, the season average for all three of those managers. It's right around that like 7-win area. So it's tough to say that they were necessarily a wizard at what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
Camille also missing the playoffs, though. That's tough.
Well, we'll keep it with Camille because he's also going to be. I think these go hand in hand. And if we want to try to spread the awards out, because there's no doubt he's the comeback team because he started 1-6.
Yeah.
Made a good comeback.
So we're definitely putting him there. Waiver wire is tough. Jerome, I don't feel like he hit. I almost want to give it to Keffler just because he got like Laporta, who I feel like was the top free agent addition. Was Jerome Ford the top addition?
No, Camille also added Chuba Hubbard, who has been very productive over the last month. And he's been starting him as well. I don't know. I don't really know if there's any major standouts, right? I mean, I guess he added Brandon Aubrey, kicker for the Cowboys, who's the number 1 player at that position this year. So little things like that, those certainly help.
It's definitely not Blaine. Yeah.
Say hi to Barron and Bauer for us.
They just saw me run in for a brief second.
We'll give it to Camille.
It looks like, hold on. It looks like on the transaction counter.
Yeah. Camille's at 74.
Camille's at 74. Okay, maybe I'm looking at something different. Because I see my little Tony with the highest at 82.
Well, 82 would be higher than 74.
Yeah.
Really? Let me look at that.
And he made 2 trades.
What? Okay, so I don't know what tracker you're looking at because I have acquisitions 55 and 2 trades.
That's what I see. Also, acquisitions 55. And trades.
What are you looking at, Max? Can you share your screen?
So it's yeah. Let me share my screen. That's a good idea. Let's see.
While he's pulling that up, Morgan, before you hopped on, we were talking about the 2024 finalists for the Hall of Fame and guys like Devin Hester, Antonio Gates, kind of just how that makes us feel as football fans. These are people who we used to roster on our fantasy teams.
And Devin Hester, I mean, he was great at returning. He single-handedly should be in the Hall of Fame just for returning. Doesn't matter other stats. Antonio Gates was a beast at tight end. I mean, he kind of changed the game for basketball players going into football. I mean, Tony Gonzalez did it, but Antonio Gates just came onto the scene as a nobody. He was undrafted.
Yeah. So exciting stuff, that finalist class.
Antonio Gates was the first cameo of an NFL player on the league.
Hall of Famer right there. Yeah, done. Okay, so what I'm looking at is, I think, the active tab, which I think adds everything up, right? So there, Camille is at 106 with the highest. And then
I think activate is lineup changes.
Oh, lineup changes. Okay.
I think that's what Activate is
Like that's how many people
his
he's put
acquisitions
into
are-
his lineup.
I think so.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, and then it also has an IR
The
tab.
IR.
You know?
Yeah.
Look at that. Camille had
Like, did
13,
Camille have
the
all those
highest.
injuries?
Yeah.
He must have.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that definitely
I mean,
means that
David
he
Montgomery
put
was out for a while.
13 players into his IR spot. But what I was saying when it came to my
Hawkinson
team
just
was
got
that
hurt.
yeah. But and then there's the other thing, like Hawkinson, I'm
Jamar
pretty
Chase.
sure. Yeah, these are guys that like. I mean, you're not going to just cut Jamar Chase, but there's no reason for Hawkinson to go into his IR spot. Like you could just cut Hawkinson right now. And so that kind of inflates those numbers. And that's what I was saying about my team where like I didn't put Michael Thomas or Dallas Goedert or Nick Chubb in my IR spot. I just cut them because of necessity.
And now Goddard's playing in the fantasy championship on Lou's team.
He is. He hasn't really produced the last 2 weeks that he's been back, but he is there. Get him a ring.
Well, I'll give Camille both the comeback this year and the waiver wire for his efforts. And then that leaves us with manager of the year. Now, this is where it gets a little weird. And Andy's not on the call, and neither is Red. Let's talk about this one. But Andy has been at least nominated and maybe awarded manager of the year this year. He's a rookie coming in, co-managing with Nick, but not really. Nick's not doing anything. It was all Andy the whole time. And he went 11-3, made the playoffs.
I can't remember if I mentioned
Is
this.
that enough? I mean, he's got
Andy the other day asked me to start calling him Red.
Oh.
I think Andy is manager of the year. Colin Puka
Nakua was a great
for
pickup.
waiver wire wizard.
Yeah.
Colin. So
that was a good pickup.
Puka's like, we're going to talk about Puka here in a minute when we pull up people's season stats because, my goodness, I think he's the fourth leading receiver.
Any other moves, my man, but Puka was a big one.
I'll tell you what, Andy's team needed this in the points for. He needed a big year to up those points for there for the Andy stack.
Can we also point out, go back to the best draft?
I haven't
Colin had a good draft.
I was such a big fan of Colin's team all year long.
Yeah, the wide receivers.
Yeah.
Devontae Adams, Amon-Ra St. Brown,
Puka,
Keenan Allen, Mahomes. But hey, made the playoffs. Good job, Colin.
Manager of the year, Bobby should be nominated.
Bobby should be nominated.
Bobby's due. I think this is his year.
Yeah.
He's got a good team.
I do. It's good, but Lou. I mean, Lou, he's a nomination too.
I mean, Tim, you're the 2 seed. I think you're a nomination as well. It's hard to win the league and then come back and not necessarily repeat, but put forth just about as strong a team. Like that's pretty difficult to do, to find that consistency. So I think you're deserving of a nomination as well.
Why? Thank you. No one ever gives me credit.
VC, leave it to the VC.
I don't know. I think what I had mentioned with Andy having like the bad 3 draft picks, Aaron Jones, Eckler, Cooper Kupp not panning out, and then just kind of making it work. I do like the moves he made.
Yeah.
I like the trade to get Justin Fields, DJ Moore getting in there. Kind of just, he gave it his all. He got 11-3 and he was the top scoring team. And those are kind of the facts that I think are hard to argue with, but definitely Lou and Bobby, of course, deserve some credit as well. But I'll give it to Andrew.
Yeah. There we go. Hall of Records updated.
Updated. The only thing I need to update now are the columns V, W, and X. So the average, points for, and points against. Haven't done that yet, but I will.
Kef with the
I will
overall
eventually.
weekly average. Nice work, Jordan.
This will change. It'll change.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun to look at. Sean, the other thing we want to talk about, I think that concludes our Hall of Fame records here. We can transition back to maybe the skunk column. And how do you want to take us through your Sunday? Because that was a hell of a close game, closer than we thought it'd be going into Monday night.
I was sitting there Christmas Day morning. We woke up the boys early at 5:45, so we can squeeze in 2 naps before the visit. I'm sitting there reading Bleacher Report books.
This is like a story. This is like a story you're telling us right now.
I love it.
Watching we were watching Miss Rachel. I'm just sitting on my phone reading Bleacher Report, and I see Josh Jacobs for the game. And so I run online, Zamir White, thinking Camille still has him. I pick up Zamir White right off the bat.
Damn.
Thank God. Zamir White won me the game. If I didn't pick him up, Blaine probably would have, and I would have been stuck with Odell with, I think, a 3.9 game. And Blaine would have beat me by 10.
Jeez. Yeah, that's calculated. That's what it takes to escape the skunk.
I didn't know what to do because I was like, I don't really want Zamir White, but if I pick him up, I got to play him. And he's the number one option. I didn't think he was going to get that many points, 145 yards.
Damn. Brilliant.
But
way to never give up, Chad. I'm proud of you. You're not even having to worry this next week. You've escaped the skunk.
He keeps getting away with it.
First time 2 years or 3 years I'm not in the skunk.
Wow. So this is like playoffs for you.
You're beaming. You look like you just had another child.
Is this the moment in your fantasy career that it finally rights the ship? Are we gonna see a winning record? Are we gonna see a playoff appearance?
Hey,
how many times?
I'll be honest with you. I didn't give a shit about making the playoffs as long as I'm not the skunk. And that's all I play for, not the skunk. And I told you guys all year long, like, I'm not worried about being the skunk. I have a good team. Jonathan Taylor and Bijan Robinson is not a bad duo to have.
How are you doing in some of your other leagues?
So I was the 2 seed in Lose League. No, I was the 2 seed, and then I lost the final week, and I fell to the 6 seed.
Oh, damn.
But I had the second most points for and got bounced out in the first round. Bad week, under 100.
That's playoffs.
Yep, that's playoffs, baby. Yeah. But yeah, that's it. I only did 2 leagues this year, and I'm just happy. I mean, I wasn't nervous. I have a good team. We called it in 2 weeks ago when we said it could be Blaine and Matt and the skunk.
Yeah, you were definitely on that.
Both teams are free falling.
Do you have a prediction?
To Blaine, I think Blaine's going to be the skunk.
I think Blaine's going to be the skunk too.
Yeah, his team is just falling apart. Max put the curse on him, saying he's a dark horse to go into the playoffs.
I did really love Blaine's team coming out of the draft. That's really funny. God, you got a memory of an elephant, John.
Blaine got cursed. It's just and he was hot midway through the season. I think at one point.
Yeah, he went on like a 3-game winning streak.
Yeah. And I don't know what happened. It wasn't the injury bug. It's just the guy started tanking.
Some guys got, I mean,
Tank Dell. Once he lost Tank Dell, that was kind of the exclamation point.
Once he lost
Big
the tank on the team.
Jacobs has been no tank left. There's no tanks left for who was
tankless.
He was tankless. Yeah, Connor's a big one. That's what I'm saying. You could go through almost every team's lineup and be like, they're injury bugged. They're injury bugged.
That's an injury.
Yeah. So it's tough.
Well, I think
I'm gonna agree. Yeah, I think we're all on Blaine.
We're all on Blaine to be the skunk.
I think Blaine might be on Blaine to be the skunk.
Just doesn't look good for him. But you never know. Matt, I mean, you'd like to think he has a little bit more consistency on his side, but Calvin Ridley's like he's not consistent. Javonte Williams, he's not consistent. So obviously anything could happen, but Blaine has like Kraft in the lineup from Green Bay. He's got JSN in the flex. If Jacobs healthy, that could change things. So it's still anybody's game, but the trend is definitely with Blaine. What about the championship here between Bobby and Lou?
Yeah, let's look at it. I'm excited for this one. It'll be fun to have a new champion in the league because
I will be.
for a lot of our seasons, I feel like it's been, I mean, like I've won it twice or more than Tim, you've won it twice. Blaine's won it twice.
Blaine's won it
twice. Once. I guess we could go back and look at that, but we've basically had like the same 4 or 5 guys win it year after year.
Matt
so this will be fun.
Twice. But like lately, it's been like, yeah, you and me.
So here we go.
Years.
Yeah. Baker Mayfield. I know you love this move. I love this move. We all love this move. Right in the hot hand. One of our guys. Sitting to we've talked about
the hot Ravens D.
Yeah. I've at least talked about how Baker's been my favorite football player to watch this year. I think like the Bucks, man, I don't know. Go put some money on the Bucks to win a playoff game or something. They're really fun. They're really exciting. And then you just kind of go down the lineup from there, and there's not really a matchup that scares you. Like it's a great matchup for McCaffrey. It's a good matchup for Mixon. There's not really anything that you don't like. The Cleveland Browns defense against the Jets should really ball out. Yeah. And then you look over at Lewis's team and you see some tougher matchups. Like Tyreek Hill going against the Baltimore defense, while questionable, is pretty tough. And then he's got a couple questionable tags on his guys too.
Cleveland should contain Breece Hall. The Saints against Tampa Bay, that can be a good divisional matchup. I think that those games are competitive. So that's something I think that Lou has going for him is Rachaad White and Mike Evans, actually. Having Mike Evans to kind of counter Baker Mayfield is really helpful.
Yeah, but those will be points no matter what happens on offense for these two teams.
He's going to need a huge game out of like Nico Collins.
Nico Collins is a baller, though.
Yeah, he is, and he could have a huge game. Depends on if CJ Stroud will play. He's coming back after missing 2 weeks from a concussion. But you like the Eagles against Arizona. That's a pretty good matchup.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be interesting to see how Miami and Baltimore play out.
Yeah, you
Lamar's
can see that
from Miami. So where's the game at?
It's in Miami. 49ers.
Yeah,
you could definitely see that game being like the first to score 42 points wins. Like that could be a shootout.
I think if we are going to key in on each team's best player, you've got Christian McCaffrey against Washington, and then you've got Tyreek Hill against Baltimore. This edge obviously goes to Bobby.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a big reason that we're all leaning towards Bobby, even though Lou has the check marks here, according to ESPN.
Looking at Lou's team now, I'm picking Lou.
You're going back to Lou? It's going to be close, obviously.
I mean, it says 0.2 difference.
Yeah, that's...
I mean, the thing about Bobby's team is like DeAndre Hopkins could lay an egg. Rasheed Rice could lay an egg.
Evan Ingram
could lay an egg.
Yeah.
T. Higgins could lay an egg.
Yeah, exactly. I guess Lou has a higher floor. Yeah,
especially in
those
four middle positions, right?
Yep. Much higher floor. I think, yeah, shit. I don't know. It's Johnny. Now you got me. I'm talking myself into Lou again. He's due, guys.
I think it's Lou's year. Yeah, he's due. He's been consistent forever in this league.
But Bobby's made the playoffs for the last 5 years in a row.
I can't believe that Rachaad White is the 4th ranked running back on the year. Yeah. That's wild.
I've got a good draft pick.
Yeah. Yeah, 2 top 10 running backs, 2 top 10 wide receivers,
2 top 5 wide receivers,
2 top 5
quarterback.
Yeah. Yeah, it's no surprise that Lewis is here. That's for sure.
Now, how does the belt get down to Lou?
Gosh,
See,
that's a
the thing.
logistics
I
question.
think I'm wanting Bobby to win because it makes it way easier. I'll ask Lou if he wants the belt mailed to him or not, and hopefully he sends it back one day. But
We
that would suck if he didn't.
I was talking
I'll
to a
give him the
guy.
old belt.
I was talking to a guy at work, and they have a giant fantasy trophy for their league, and their skunk. There's no punishment, but they have to pay for next day shipping for their trophy to get to the next place, and they have 3 days. So it's a 3-day limit to get to the guy.
Oh wow, yeah.
Otherwise, they have to pay double their fees the following year.
That's really good.
Yeah,
and I was like, dang, and because I was like, well, what, like local too? And he goes, oh yeah, they have 3 days, so they drop it off. But he's like, we have guys in Hawaii, Minnesota, like half our league is spread throughout the United States. And he's like, that next day air bill jumps up because it's a giant trophy.
Damn. Yeah, not cheap to ship. Well, we only have 2 out-of-staters, right?
Yeah.
Camille and Lou. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. So that's kind of why I guess I'm rooting for Bobby. You know, I like the fact that Lou's never won my league.
I think I'm gonna go Bobby just because I like the players on his team better. I think, I'm gonna be rooting for Baker Mayfield. I don't ever really root for Lamar Jackson, so I want to see
Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, exactly. I want to see players that I like be responsible for winning one of my friends a fantasy championship.
Mm-hmm. I want to see somebody wear the belt.
It's
Bobby
a very
will wear that belt.
worthy championship matchup looking at these teams. So we'll see. I don't think I can make a pick here. I think Lou's going to win, but I want Bobby to win. I don't know.
Okay.
There it is.
We could have a
That's
new
the
champ,
final
and we could
championship.
have a new skunk. Could have a new skunk.
We can hope so. And that'll be how many seasons is this now?
6.
They'll 11th. The 11th season. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. No, it's the 12th season.
Well, we've only done 6 skunks, I think. 2 for Max, 1 for Matt, 1 Bobby, 2 Red.
Yep, only 6 skunks in the past, but this was the 12th season, so it's almost in the books here. At the end of this week, be sure to set your lineups. Shout out for
Monday
making it
games.
this far.
Yeah, you're playing
No
for
Monday
Jeopardy.
Yeah, playing for draft lottery now. All right, we're getting the curtain call. Thanks for joining us, John.
Later.